Your rig is where you work, where you rock out. Your rig is your livelihood. So when that DPF light comes on, give your rig the respect it deserves. As for Road Warrior, stronger seals, better manufacturing, and it's made of metal that lasts. Less downtime and more miles on the road so you can haul longer. Respect the rig. Become a Road Warrior.
Welcome to The Long Haul, the podcast dedicated to empowering small carriers and owner-operators to drive their business forward. I'm your host, Adam Wingfield, bringing you insights from industry leaders, real-world success stories, and strategies to help you navigate the road to profitability. Whether you're just getting started or looking to take your fleet to the next level, this is a show where trucking meets opportunity. So buckle up, it's time to go the distance. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of The Long Haul. Today's episode isn't about freight markets, regulations, or policy. It's about something deeper, something bigger than business. We're talking about Wreaths Across America, which is an incredible mission that brings together volunteers, families, veterans, communities, and yes, truck drivers. Every year, drivers haul wreaths to national cemeteries around the country, not for money, not for miles, but for meaning. Before we get started today, I wanted to take a quick moment. It's Christmas week, and for most folks, that means family, warmth, and being home with the people they love. But for thousands of families across this country, Christmas is a reminder, someone who should be there but isn't. Someone who wore the uniform, someone who raised their hand, someone who just didn't make it back home. And every December, this industry, our industry, steps in a way the rest of the world barely sees. Truck drivers, men and women who already sacrifice so much, volunteer their time, their miles, and their hearts to make sure those heroes are remembered. They haul wreaths and not freight. They deliver honor and not invoices. They show up for families who need to know their loved ones just haven't been forgotten. This week, while the world is focused on gifts under the tree, drivers all over America are focused on something much deeper, and that's keeping memory alive. And that's why today's episode matters most. Because behind the noise of the season, there's a mission that runs quieter, but it hits harder. So let's talk about it. My guest today is Courtney George, who is the Director of Transportation and Industry Relations for Wreaths Across America. With nearly 2 decades of experience in the industry and a heart for service, Courtney plays a key role in connecting trucking with a mission rooted in honor and remembrance. We're going to talk about the impact this program has on drivers, on families, and on the communities that gather to remember veterans who paid the ultimate price. But before we get into it, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe, and tap into our newsletter at freightwavesplaybook.com, where we highlight the stories that matters inside this industry. Courtney, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's talk about the mission behind your work.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great week to be here. We are in full swing here at Wreaths Across America right now. So I am getting to see so many of the drivers and so many plans that I put throughout the year, seeing them come to fruition. It's the most awesome thing to have. It is my favorite thing to watch this industry shine and do what we do best. And I think that that's, often something that gets lost, is you've got an industry that is so patriotic, that is predominantly our number one demographic and is a veteran in trucking. So for us, it's just great to be able to be here, talk about this industry, share the most amazing stories that are out there, and honestly give people something back that feels good. Yeah. We've talked about markets for the past, I'm going to say,
a long time,
couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And what's going on. And so to be able to cover and talk about something that's great, I really love.
Yeah. And you spent 18 years in transportation. How did that journey lead you to Wreaths Across America? Just walk us through how'd you get here?
Absolutely. I will say, I was in the recruiting and retention space for trucking companies a lot of times, or the HR space. And so people have always been the motivating factor for me. People are what drives me. And I think that that's something kind of unique in this industry. As we put in more technology each and every day, it still requires people, and everyone's a person. Everyone has something that's going on in their life. And so for me, as I walk through this journey, I'm incredibly passionate about the people of this industry, but I'm also very passionate and patriotic as a person. So working in the trucking industry for 18 years, it was great because I've worked in ops, I've done expansions, I've gotten the opportunity to travel a lot of this country and go to places I would have never gone or spent my own money. I'm looking at Altoona, Pennsylvania as one of those great examples where I would have never gone, but like, I was like, okay, now I understand this.
Right.
But it's people that drive the business of trucking.
Absolutely.
It's the men and women that are out there day in, day out. And for me, getting involved when I was at a carrier was a no-brainer because my number one demographic was a veteran. And so I felt like I was like, well, this makes a lot of sense.
Was there ever and take me to your first emotional connection to the mission itself? Like, was there a moment that made you say, yeah, this is where I want to be. This is bigger than logistics. Was there a moment or just that very first emotional connection that tied you to what the Wreaths for America mission is actually about?
Absolutely. So I had the privilege back in 2008, 2009. I had been in Richmond training a new recruiter. There was bad weather. Mm-hmm. I wasn't going to get out until Wednesday. It was real close to Christmas. My mom is not going to, even at my age now, my mom is not going to not have me at home.
Yeah.
And the one thing I knew, because I'd gone to high school in Virginia, was that the interstate between Richmond and DC was going to be open. And so I called my VP and said, hey, can we change this? I can get out on, Saturday night or Sunday morning out of DCA. And I was like, Richmond to DC's, only a couple hours. And he was like, yeah, but I want you to go right in. Our driver's doing this. I want you to go do this. I was like, okay, whatever. And keep in mind, that's when we were still very active overseas. So in Iraq, in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We're still fighting.
I didn't know what
there.
I was walking into.
Right.
I had no idea. I just got told to go jump in the truck at this address with a driver. This is before the days of Uber. And so I was like, okay, not a big deal. And rode in with the driver, and to see a gentleman who had come from Walter Reed, and, he was in a motorized wheelchair going to a mass grave saying, I should be there. Mm. Sparked something in me that I didn't think was there, didn't know. Watching a mom pull her child in dress blues in that red wagon into Arlington, and you're like, whew. Yeah. Did not expect for that level of emotion to hit and go, this is something big. This is something that gives back to a family, brings healing to them.
Yeah.
And from there, I couldn't forget the opportunity that I'd had that day. So I made the commitment as I, moved up and transitioned and, progressed my career along, that I was getting everyone involved that I could. And I think that that's really important, because once you experience something so magical, you can't forget it. And it's your duty to share it.
Right.
And so I say that, and so was able to take the Wreaths Across America mission and share it as I progressed my career, getting other employers involved. I am ecstatic with how I worked at SIA for many years, how their support has continued to grow, and how they are like, don't worry about it. Let me help you figure this out. Seeing companies that are out there that are doing that. Looking at Central Transport has been involved for a couple years, and that they're taking basically 15 loads.
Wow.
It's not no, it's yes. And, I look at that as something that's outstanding and amazing. But I also have so many cheerleaders that are behind me in this mission. I have spent many days, TJ Presley, if you were watching or listening, with Hirschbach, where I've called him and said, am I forgetting something? Is there another option? And seeing how we can move wreaths that might be in, Southern Illinois to get them down to Dallas, and getting a driver loaded here in Maine and getting those wreaths to, Southern Illinois, how we can all work together when I'm like, I feel like I could be out of tools in my toolkit, but let me ask someone who I know and that I trust. And I mean, that taking those two things, the emotion and sharing it and giving back. We've got on the convoy this year, Chris Shepard with Sherwin-Williams, who is a Gold Star father, and last year was able to place a wreath on his son's headstone in Arlington for the first time. That's amazing. And to know he's like, Courtney, I'm about to retire, but I'm not retiring before I do this one more time.
So for someone who's, and let me just back up just a little bit, for someone who's hearing about Wreaths Across America for the first time, what is the mission in its purest form?
Our mission is to remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach the next generation about freedom. That's the easiest and simplest way to put what we do in its truest form.
And when you think about impact altogether, what impact does this really work have really on families of veterans, especially those who feel forgotten?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of people say that when a person dies, they die twice. Once when they take their last breath, and the second time when their name is said last. This mission remembers so many people. This year, we're going to remember more than 3.1 million souls that are interred at over 5,500 locations.
Wow.
So knowing, even if you aren't right there, knowing that your loved one is going to be remembered, and is going to be honored for their sacrifice, it's healing. It brings peace.
And it does. And it's so beautiful to see the industry itself slow down for a minute and really just and show that honor. And I want to talk a little bit about the trucking community itself, because this mission doesn't happen without the drivers and the drivers that are volunteering. What does it mean to the organization when a driver says, "Hey, Courtney, I'll take that load for free"?
It means everything to us. I mean, I tell people, I'm like, we're going to be close to 800 loads this year, between intermodal and regular loads. And it just doesn't happen without the truck drivers. It won't. And many of them are veterans themselves, and this is their way of serving. Many of them maybe weren't able to serve, but this is their way of honoring someone who did. There are just so many people in this industry that want to give back to a veteran, that want to give back to these families that maybe know a Gold Star family, or, have had the opportunity to talk to someone who is a Gold Star family that they didn't know.
Yeah.
And to hear how them hauling a wreath, or maybe they couldn't haul a wreath this year, but they made one $17 donation. That's huge.
Today's episode is brought to you by Trucking Hub. Now listen, if you're still bouncing between 5 different logins just to run your trucking business, you're already behind. Trucking Hub is built by a carrier for carriers, and it puts everything under one roof, whether it be dispatch, safety, maintenance, and even accountant and a driver app. Their dispatch runs on PC Miler and Copilot navigation, so the miles are right the first time. Now the ELD is FMCSA certified, tamper-proof, and trusted since 2017. And if you want to keep it all in one lane, you can even roll in company phones, texting, video, and fax backed by nationwide LTE. Bottom line, this is the kind of system that's you spend less time hopping and more time hauling. Plans start at just $29 per truck, no contracts, no hidden fees, and you can try it for free for 30 days. Check them out at their website and get your time back. Mm-hmm. And now you've seen drivers break down, I'm sure, during deliveries and ceremonies. What stories, is there a story or is there one of those that kind of stand out that sticks with you?
Yeah, I think sometimes with weather and with breakdowns, some of the best stories truly come out of that, right? Because it's not just about placing wreaths. It is sometimes having to have the tough conversations and say, due to safety, the wreaths aren't going to get here. We're going to have to lay wreaths on this day. But what we are going to do is come out here and remember our veterans, and they get remembered twice in that way. We had a couple years ago, I-80 in Kansas was shut down. And, I had a location coordinator that was panicked on the phone with me, and I was like, what we can't do is risk a driver's safety. I'm not going to risk their safety, nor I'm not going to risk your safety either, because you've got to get out there and help unload the truck. And so sometimes from those difficult conversations comes some of the most beautiful engagement that you see within a mission. That people see, yes, the wreaths are symbolic of this veteran. The wreaths are made up of 10 bouquets. Each one of those bouquets is an attribute that we think makes up a veteran, right? That red bow stands for their hopes and their sacrifices that didn't always come true. And so we are looking at this and going, okay, we can't get them to you. I've got them sitting, in a Walmart DC, and we'll get those delivered to you. It might be in a week. It depends on how much snow you got. They got 3 feet. So it took a minute to get there. Sometimes there's conversations where people really understand and get to the heart of the mission, right? Or you've got a driver that is pulling in last minute, right? There's nothing like Atlanta traffic to make it a little more entertaining, right? And so the driver may be pulling into a cemetery in Mississippi or in Louisiana the day of the cemetery or the day of the ceremony, and that driver is the hometown hero. He might be being escorted all the way from the interstate in, which is great for a driver. They love that.
Yeah. And, when I think about coordinating that for thousands of cemeteries, that can't be a small task. I'm sure that's a logistical engine. So what does that look like behind the scenes for you?
So behind the scenes, there are 2 of us dedicated throughout the entire year planning, right? Because I'm pushing out 800 loads in 3 weeks.
And how many wreaths on a load?
About 6,500.
Okay.
So this year we'll see over 3.1 million we should see delivered. Cutoff was last night. What y'all can't see is on the other side of the wall, the finance team is feverishly still going through numbers. Because the last thing I want to do is, not put a wreath on a truck if I can. If somebody made that donation, I want it to happen.
Yeah.
And so we spend a lot of time talking to people, educating them, about Wreaths Across America, what, we stand for, why it's important to participate, the positives that you are going to get out of it as an organization, the positives for your drivers participating. Several of the companies out there pay their drivers to do this. This is their donation in kind. And that is unbelievable to be able to have happen. And I genuinely love when we see that happen. But it is a year-long mission where we're planning, where we're looking at growing, where I'm looking at heat maps of where new locations are being registered, how many are interred there that we know are veterans, because we don't just do it at national cemeteries, right? There are 149 national cemeteries. We're doing this at local communities that are so grassroots. And so we're looking to go, how many are interred there? What, throughout the year, what are their fundraising? What does this look like?
Yeah.
And we are out there talking to people. I'm talking to drivers. There's nothing that makes my heart happier than when a company calls me and says, we want to participate. My driver won't come over here. I had a recruiter that called me and said, I've been trying to hire this driver for 3 months. He lived in Clearfield, Pennsylvania, but says he won't come to work here if he can't haul a load. So tell me what this is about. I'm like, it's cheaper for you to put him on the payroll and let him haul a load than it is for you to continue to pay to advertise and do all the steps that it takes to actually hire a driver.
Yeah.
So let's make a commitment.
Yeah. And you've worked with carriers of all sizes, from mega fleets to small truck operations. And quite frankly, right now, we're living in a divided time. But your mission brings people together, regardless of politics, race, background, beliefs. Why do you think this resonates so much across America?
I think that there are a couple of answers to that. This isn't political. This is about people. These are about people that went and made a sacrifice that you or I maybe didn't make. I definitely did not serve. So I wasn't out there willing to put my life on the line. And they ran into danger when the rest of the world is running away. So it's one small day. It's one small act of kindness. I think our country as a whole is very patriotic. You don't have to be on either side. If you go to Arlington National Cemetery, I tell the story one year, I was placing a wreath and I looked over and 2 headstones over was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. You've got Supreme Court justices that are out there placing wreaths that are in it to honor people. It's not about whether you're on the left or you're on the right. It's about saying thank you to our military. And, we can all do a better job at that, but this is one small way to do it.
And you're absolutely correct. And I think that what you stated is that it's mostly it's about people, right? And the thing about it is that we get so intertwined into people's beliefs that we forget the people side of it. What do you wish that the general public understood, just based on where you've been boots on the ground, sleeves rolled up? What do you people wish that the general public understood about our veteran community that they often overlook?
I wish people knew the sacrifices that they made. They may look whole and normal on the outside, but they saw things at the age of 18, 21 that we should have not allowed someone that age to see.
Yeah.
And so we have an obligation to them to continue to support them. I had a dog earlier today, and he's a service animal. He is a VA issued service animal. He is a Chihuahua. And I was like, not your normal service animal, but it's perfect in a truck.
Yeah.
The pint size is perfect in a truck. That's what I wish people knew about our veterans. That there are many, and they are out there walking among us, and you don't know, and you can't identify them. But they are some of the most amazing and incredible people.
Absolutely.
And give them the chance to talk. Let them tell you about their experiences, because they matter.
Absolutely. For the listeners out there, or someone who's listening today who wants to support, whether they're a driver, whether they're a carrier, whether they're a family, what's the best way to get involved into this amazing initiative?
Absolutely. So you have many ways to get involved. It's all going to start with going to our website, which is www.wreathsacrossamerica.org. From there, you can volunteer to place a wreath. There, you can also volunteer or sponsor a wreath. A $17 wreath sponsorship goes a long way. If you don't know where to send it, I always tell people to send it to Arlington National Cemetery. That's America's cemetery. But there are so many ways you can get involved. If you are a family and you have young children, we have a K through 12 curriculum in English and in Spanish that was written by a Gold Star mom who got a knock on her door at 10 a.m. on Christmas Day. We're more than just an organization that places wreaths. We are here for veterans and veterans' families. And so check us out on our website, www.wreathsacrossamerica.org. If you want to get involved in trucking, my contact information is on there. Please reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about it. There's so many ways as a driver or as a carrier you can get involved. But even if you're somebody who helps support the trucking industry, you can also get involved. Support your customers. This isn't something that's just trucking companies and drivers. Mm-hmm. We get support from people like Pilot Flying J. Great Dane has helped support the transportation side. When you come to Wreaths Across America, I've got the most positive, and if I could have built this when I was at a carrier, I would be retired by now. I have the most positive driver's lounge. You get 3 hot meals a day. You're welcome to the family when you come in. We really focus on your experience here as a driver. And that for me is what, is integral and is key for us, is making sure that driver, their experience is the best that it can be.
And so what is Wreaths Across America? What do you guys need more of right now? Is it awareness? Is it volunteers? Is it carriers? Where would you say that your biggest need is right now?
I'm going to say right now, I know that everyone has financially had a tough year, but make one $17 donation. Right now, we're at the home stretch. I can still get them on trucks. Mm-hmm. I make a commitment to people every single day that if you can get those re-sponsored, I can get them delivered. If you are in the trucking industry and you want to find out how you can support and participate, reach out to us. If you email trucking@wreathsacrossamerica.org, that's going to come directly to me, and I get in touch with people within 24 hours.
And what do you think in your mind, what is the long-term vision for Wreaths Across America from your perspective and your lens?
Our goal is to have a wreath on every veteran's headstone, domestic or abroad. Now, we've got a lot to do to get there.
Yeah.
But, to see us up an additional 300 to 400 cemeteries this year is huge, right? I want to see this continue to grow. I want us to honor more veterans. I want to be able to say this community had a positive impact because, people made Wreaths Across America a day of service for an organization. There is a way that this program can work for anyone, but help us grow it. We can't grow it without you.
You know, I tell you, when I ran into Wreaths Across America last year at the Mats,
Yeah.
and I was like, I've got to get connected with them and work some way because I love the mission behind it and what it stood for. And I just thought it was just so perfect that we had the opportunity to connect specifically during this week when it really, truly, truly mattered. And for those that are listening, this is a very, very small gesture that can go so far. Courtney, you talked about a few minutes ago, like there's 6,500 wreaths roughly on a truck. But just think about that. That's 6,500 people that lost their lives. So that way you and I can have this conversation, or so that way that we can have the ability to do those things. And I just think that a lot of times we become so desensitized to just the norm that we forget about the families that get left behind. And, you talked about the father that has to lay the wreath on the son's headstone. Those are those things that none of us ever want to face. And if we could just take a small gesture, and I challenge the listeners on this show to support in any way that you can, whether that's laying the wreath, whether it's a $17 wreath donation. I really believe that we can make that mission happen together. Our community is massive. The trucking industry is very, very tight knit. And once we rally behind things, things matter. So I thank you definitely, Courtney. Thank you for sharing the heart behind the mission and really helping us really dive into the purpose and the why behind it. So I'm very, very thankful that you took the time out to share this mission. It's a beautiful thing that you guys are doing over there at Wreaths Across America.
Well, we appreciate you taking time to talk to us and highlighting what we're doing, letting this shine, and, also encouraging people to get involved. That's how this continues to grow each and every year.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you again. In trucking, we spend so much time talking about freight, survival, and grit, but this industry is also full of people who show up when it matters most, and Wreaths Across America is proof of that. So to every driver listening, your miles matter, your presence matter, and for the families of fallen veterans, your role in this mission is something that they never forget. If today's episode moved you, take a moment to learn more at wreathsacrossamerica.org. Volunteer, sponsor a wreath, or just simply share the story. And as always, if you got value from our conversation, hit like, share, and subscribe. And join our newsletter at freightwavesplaybook.com. This is The Long Haul. I'm Adam Wingfield. Remember the fallen, honor the brave, and keep driving with purpose. And Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a great day.